Hello, Cancer, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of January 18th through the 24th. And during that time, we do have a new moon that comes in on the 19th. And that, of course, is a good time for a fresh start, new beginnings, a good time to learn a new skill or start any new projects, either inner or outer, that you might have that you want to work on, or even a good time to make new decisions. So keep that in mind. We then move in for the rest of the week to the waxing crescent energy. And that is a time of heightened senses, a good time to just execute those things that we've just started and just begin those things and plan and kind of live up to those expectations. Just really buckle down and say, I'm going to do these things that I've set out to do, and really take time to do them. So keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter. So, as always, Cancer, please take what resonates on the table today and leave what doesn't here for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is believe in the impossible with the blue moon card. All right, let's see what the Cancer Collective has going on as they're believing in the impossible this week. As I'm shuffling, or not shuffling in that case, come on, cards, I know you want to cooperate. As I'm shuffling the tarot cards, I would like to say that my fun weekly reminder this week, Cancer, is that you take some time to learn something new. So that's a really good thing to do on, the new moon and waxing crescent energy. So think about something that you've had on your mind and you thought, I really want to go learn about that, but you just haven't done it yet. Sometimes as adults, we forget to do that. I feel like I'm learning things every day, but to really deep dive and say, okay, I'm really going to dig into this particular topic, maybe read a book or two, listen to a lecture, that sort of thing, really, really deep dive on something so that you truly, truly understand it. So just give yourself a couple of hours to do that. Focus, study, maybe take notes, and really just take time to think and really absorb that thing that you're learning. And that is my fun weekly reminder for you this week. All right, let's get into this reading. Cancer, January 18th through the 24th. Believe in the impossible. Your present energy right now is the Six of Cups. So, does the impossible involve something nostalgic? Does the impossible involve maybe, an old friend or relative, someone from your past, maybe even your childhood? Um, could be. That's a lot of times what the Six of Cups signifies here. It's also kind of just enjoying yourself, kind of on the emotional level, calm. But a lot of times it does designate something that has to do with something a little bit more nostalgic. So maybe the impossible is that you run into someone that you have not seen in years and that you do feel like, oh my gosh, that was impossible, but it happens. Your current situation is the Page of Wands. So this could be, this is kind of a new path and passion, and this could be something that leads you to something like this. This could be it's a new passion that leads you to that feeling of nostalgia, that feeling of feeling like a child, something where, and I'm going to say, let's say that you have your new passion is playing darts, and you decide that I haven't felt this. You just get lost in the game. You're playing with other people, or what, maybe just by yourself practicing, and you just get so focused on, trying to hit that target, trying to hit that bullseye, that and a couple of hours have gone by and you've just been throwing darts. And that's kind of that childlike feeling. I remember being a kid when we would get so engaged in something that just everything melted away. And sometimes as adults, we forget to do that as well. So there could be some new passion that has you kind of feeling that nostalgia of that childlike nostalgia of being a child and just letting yourself getting as absorbed in something. At the root of your situation, Cancer, is the Ace of Cups. So it's something new that you love. It's some passion. Again, it's a new thing. It's coming about. It could be that it's just something you're just discovering about yourself that I didn't know that I like to knit. I didn't that I'd know it was this relaxing. I didn't know that I like to do this thing, that whatever this thing that you've taken up or that's new to you, and you just love it. I think we've all had things like that. I do this with this past year I got myself a new sewing machine, and it's kind of been something that was on the periphery that, and I do. Like, there's times when I just really do. I get lost in a little sewing project or something. I'm not that great at it yet, and that's okay. But I do get lost in the either coming up with the crafty item that I'm going to make or do a thing or, there it's just a fun thing to do. I've had moments where I'm like, why am I doing this? And I have to remind myself even that you're just doing it because it's fun. There's really no reason. There's like around the holidays, I was like, why am I making fabric candy canes? There's really no reason, but because it's fun, because it was cute, so I just did it anyway. Sometimes we just do a thing like that, and again, it's that nostalgic feeling of childhood, that kind of just letting go and just really enjoying being in the moment. Sorry, that was a big rant on that, but that has been something I'm learning through myself also. It's just learning how to do that. In your recent past here, Cancer, is you've had a lot of choices here with the Seven of Cups. So it looks like whatever your choices were has led you to, again, feeling this little bit of nostalgia. And maybe, you had some choices and you had some time. Believe in the impossible, believe that you can enjoy being in the moment and enjoying whatever this thing it is that you're loving doing right now. What is on your mind this week is the Tower. So maybe through this disruption, and maybe, disruptions come for reasons. You might be engaged in this thing and all of a sudden something goes awry and you find that whatever this calming thing, this is the thing that kind of brings you back to just being nice and calm. And would it have not been there a couple of months ago if this tower thing, whatever this disruption, tower is about just something that kind of goes awry this week. It doesn't have to be huge, but it is on your mind. And are you going to bring yourself back to this thing that puts you back in the moment? That, yeah, okay, this, you had some car trouble and your car's in the shop. Does that mean that you're not going to enjoy throwing those darts and getting lost in that moment? And that might be the reason why you've either discovered or rediscovered this thing that you're feeling that you love and you're very passionate about. Is just to teach you, to get you through those moments, those life moments. We all have them. We have disruptions constantly, right? There's times when when it rains it pours. You just feel like, well, what else can happen? Well, do you have a way to manage that, and do you have a way to, again, get in that moment and do that thing that you love? And maybe that's your challenge this week, is to learn how to get back in that moment when things are kind of going awry for you. What is just ahead of you this week is the King of Swords. So, you're going to you're going to deal with things on a logical basis, right? This is the knowledge of how to get things done in a very logical manner. And if that logic, again, includes you having this escape where you can just be in the moment, and while things are going on, I always tell my kids that, a flat tire, when you're a teenager, is so much different than a flat tire in your 50s or your 60s or each of those decades. You just manage things a little bit differently. Like, it's really not a big deal. And where it could just be like, oh, it's the biggest thing when you're younger. So that is kind of learning how to manage those things and be like, yeah, well, that went wrong, but life goes on, and I'm going to do the thing I enjoy until that's fixed and taken care of and whatever. So keep that in mind as we're moving through this reading here. In your advice position, Page of Cups, this is keep your sense of humor. Keep your sense of humor about this whole situation. And this is one of those things where you're like, so believe in the impossible. It's kind of like, can you believe this is going on, this disruption? Can you even believe that this is and we all have those moments too, where like you couldn't have, kind of those Murphy's Law things where things are just going wrong, and you get to the point where you just laugh. You're just like, wow, how can this even be real? Hopefully, the impossible for you is also that these things do resolve very quickly. But I feel like it's, we're presented with these things to learn how to manage things very quickly and with the right kind of attitude. What is beyond your control this week is the Chariot, is that as all of this is going on, you are also gathering some information on how to make a change. And this could be in how you manage things and how let's say that this what I'm thinking there's so many different ways a tower can present itself, right? It could just be the toilet blows up, or there's something wrong with your car, or something goes wrong at work, just something it's just a disruption, it's a delay, it's something that just makes you um makes you just vulnerable to being frustrated, to and it shows you how you deal with things. It's just some kind of change that comes in, and it's like a little test, right? A little test from the universe, like, okay, how are you gonna deal with this? Bonk, here comes this thing. Are you gonna yell and scream, and or are you gonna calmly, or are you gonna laugh through it? But I think what you're doing is beyond your control. Is you're trying to make some sort of changes so that this is not a disruption for you, and that's maturity. That is like, that's having the right plumber. That that when the toilet blows up, you're not that concerned because you can call this plumber that's there on the spot and fixes it, and that sort of thing. It's just the steps to take to take care of the situation. All right. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Of course, I hope you're trying to avoid feeling stuck, but remember that this is feeling stuck, but knowing that you can think your way out of it. Are you trying to avoid that? Um, again, I think you're having a sense of humor, and it says that you're going to deal with this in a very logical manner. I think the King of Swords is definitely doesn't get stuck, maybe for a minute, but knows how to think like, I'm going to take the sword, I'm going to cut those off and take this blindfold off, and I'm going to get through this. It's going to be fine. So, this will be your big question. Is it your secret desire just to get stuck in this and to have, the bad attitude and not have to, or is it your secret desire to step out and say, look, I can manage this just like I can manage a million other things. So think about that. That'll be your big question of the week. And again, try to keep your sense of humor about yourself. And your outcome position is the Temperance card. Look at you by the end of the week, is feeling inspired and balanced, and this is just feeling like a sense of accomplishment, feeling like, look what I did. I love that that's your card at the end of the week, because I think you're kind of put through the ringer, but I feel like it's more mental than anything. And it's like kind of a test to see, can you hold on to the stability? Can you maintain a sense of humor throughout whatever this test might be? And again, for different maturity levels, it gets easier. It's as you have these things come up, it just gets easier and easier throughout life. What is hidden from you this week, Cancer? And that is the Six of Pentacles, which is about giving and receiving. So that's hidden from you this week. So you may want to look for the situation where that actually might be helpful for you, because it looks like it's hidden. Is there some way in which you give? Maybe it's just giving a laugh. It could just be giving kind words and a joke, and just being kind of the fun, not the person that's going off the handle about the disruption, especially if it involves other people, and just not being that person who's just a jerk about it. Things happen sometimes. Things happen, and we just get to deal with them. So think about that, because that's hidden from you. All right, let's get a final word here for Cancer. Final message from the Soul Oracle deck as Cancer is going through whatever this disruption is. And also, sometimes, believe in the impossible again was your overall card. Sometimes disruptions lead us to a more, you can't see it while you're in it, but it leads you to a positive place after. Like something may go wrong, but you, in the chaos of whatever it is, you make a new friend. Okay. And you think about it a few months down the road, and you look back and think, if that crazy thing hadn't happened, I wouldn't have made this new friend. So sometimes there's a positive that comes up, from the cloud of the disruption that you can't see yet. But your future, you will be able to look back and see it. All right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Begin to explore, maybe explore that sense of humor a little bit. Think about that. And whatever else, again, this is about a passion. Maybe begin to explore these choices that you've had in your past there. Um, and can you use that to manage this, right? So that you don't fly off the handle. All right, let's see. Let's get a self-care card here for Cancer. Self-care for Cancer as they have this disruption this week. And the card you get is the card called Truth. Truth is different at different levels of consciousness. Reserve judgment. Yeah, I think the big message of this entire reading here is to keep your sense of humor. Keep your sense of humor about you. We're not here to judge. We're here to, things happen for a reason. And again, Try to see the positive in the cloudy mess of something that maybe you can't even see yet. It may take some time for you to see that, but reserve judgment. Have a sense of humor. Again, if this involves other people, lighten up a little bit. Lighten up, Cancer. All right, Cancer, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait. I'm glad at the end of your week it's the Temperance card because I feel like you're going to be put through the ringer a little bit this week, but you're going to get through it and you're going to be just fine, right? I'm going to point out just before I leave here, look at the feet in both of these cards, right? We've got one on dry land on both and one in water. That's emotions. And I think this entire reading is about balancing your emotions in the real world with different things and not flying off the handle. I mean, I think that's probably what I'll title this video. It's just you're here to learn also and reserve judgment. Whatever this thing is coming up that it might involve other people, instead of yelling and screaming at people, just reserve that judgment. Try to be mature and look beyond it. So, okay, Cancer, once again, thank you so much for being here. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. Let me know if any of this resonated. Did you have some kind of disruption through the week? That made you think about this reading? Were you warned a little bit about it? Did you kind of see it coming? Also, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those as well. And if you like my reading style, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel, but more importantly, Cancer, it'll help you find me next week. So thanks so much for being here. Come back next week and we'll see where this takes us. So bye bye.